Commander Elias Rourke had always believed that space was quiet, not empty, but quiet in a way that made a person feel small and thoughtful. He had spent most of his life traveling between moons, research stations, and military outposts, and he had grown used to the gentle hum of engines and the calm darkness stretching in all directions. But even with all his experience, even after thousands of hours in deep space, he had never imagined that he would be part of something that would change humanity's understanding of the universe forever. Humanity had advanced quickly in the last few decades. After centuries of dreaming about distant stars, scientists finally discovered a new kind of propulsion that allowed ships to travel farther than ever before. People celebrated, governments cooperated, and explorers rushed to reach deeper territories of the solar system. But with progress came responsibility. If humans were going to step into the unknown, they needed protection. They needed a ship that could defend as well as explore. That idea led to the creation of a vessel unlike anything built before. The Horizon. The Horizon was not just a warship. It was a symbol of everything humanity had achieved. Sleek, massive, equipped with advanced scanners and powerful weapons, the ship became a floating city of steel and intelligence. Its purpose was simple: patrol the far edges of the solar system where strange signals had been detected for months. These signals confused even the smartest scientists. They were too organized to be natural, too precise to be random, but not familiar enough to be recognized as technology. Some believed the signals were just cosmic noise. Others suspected they were the first hint of something bigger. Still, most people slept peacefully at night, trusting that whatever the signals were, they were far away. Deep space was vast, and humans felt safe in their corner of it. Commander Rourke didn't share this comfort. He had learned long ago that danger didn't announce itself politely, it just arrived. And when he was chosen to lead the Horizon, he accepted not because he wanted prestige but because he believed the mission was important. If there was something out there, something powerful or unpredictable, humanity needed someone ready to face it. Rourke was a tall man with calm eyes and a steady voice. He wasn't the type to panic, and he wasn't the type to brag. His crew respected him because he treated them like equals. He made sure every person aboard the Horizon, from engineers to navigators to medics, felt valued. After all, the ship might have been built from metal, but its heart was the people running it. The day the Horizon launched, crowds gathered around spaceports across Earth. Children waved flags, reporters tried to get interviews, and families cried as they said goodbye to loved ones joining the crew. Everyone knew the ship's mission was important, but no one knew how important it would become. The crew boarded, the engines powered up, and with a burst of blue energy, the ship vanished into space. The first weeks of the mission were quiet. The crew settled into routines, checking equipment, gathering data, and monitoring the strange signals that drifted through the darkness. The signals didn't seem threatening at first. They rose, fell, pulsed, and faded. Sometimes they sounded almost like patterns, almost like messages, but they never formed anything coherent. Scientists back on Earth sent theories and suggestions, but no one had solid answers. Rourke spent a lot of time in the observation deck. It was a circular room with transparent walls, offering a full view of space. He would stand there for hours, watching distant stars shimmer like tiny fires. He often wondered if humanity was truly alone. For centuries, people had argued about aliens. Some insisted they must exist, while others believed humans were unique. Rourke stayed neutral. He didn't assume, he didn't deny. He preferred facts, not guesses. One evening, as the Horizon drifted through a calm region beyond Neptune, Rourke joined his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Lynn, in the deck. Mara was young but sharp, with a kind of mind that could solve complex problems while drinking cold coffee and barely looking up from her screen. She had been the first to notice that the signals recently became stronger, clearer, not threatening, just unusually consistent. "Do you think it means something?" she asked quietly, her voice echoing slightly against the glass. Rourke folded his hands behind his back. "Everything means something. The question is whether we're meant to understand it." Mara nodded, her eyes fixed on a distant cluster of light. "Sometimes I feel like we're being watched." Rourke didn't smile, but he didn't dismiss the idea either. Space is too big for us to assume no one else is out here. The Horizon continued deeper. Days turned into weeks. The signals grew louder, almost rhythmic. Some crew members joked that it sounded like music, deep, metallic music coming from beyond the solar system. Others felt uneasy. The ship's psychologists dealt with crew anxiety, reminding them that unfamiliar sounds didn't automatically mean something hostile. But Rourke could feel a change. It was subtle, like a pressure shifting in the air. He couldn't explain it, but he trusted his instincts. Something was different. Something was approaching. The crew kept working. They scanned planets, measured radiation, and sent reports back to Earth. Yet in quiet moments, even the most confident crew member found themselves staring into the dark, wondering what waited beyond the next stretch of space. The Horizon itself was a marvel. Its walls hummed with energy, its engines glowed softly, and its control rooms flickered with holographic interfaces. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side, sharing discoveries and theories. The ship felt alive, a giant, breathing presence guiding the crew through unknown territory. One night, while most of the crew slept, the ship passed a region filled with shimmering particles. They drifted like silver dust, dancing around the hull. Some formed patterns, swirling like tiny storms. The scientists were fascinated. They collected samples and took pictures, planning to study the particles later. Rourke watched silently from the bridge. The beauty of space always amazed him, but tonight something felt off. The particles moved as if responding to the ship's presence, almost like they were observing it. As days passed, small anomalies appeared. Navigation systems flickered for seconds at a time. Sensors detected strange gravitational pulses. Lights dimmed and brightened without explanation. None of it was dangerous, but all of it was unusual. Space was unpredictable, but this felt intentional, as if the universe itself was preparing for something. The strange signals continued, echoing through the communication channels. At times they were sharp, other times soft, but they never stopped. Mara ran dozens of calculations, trying to decode them. She even used old Earth algorithms from early radio days, hoping some pattern might reveal itself. But no matter what she tried, the signals remained mysterious. One afternoon, Rourke called a full crew meeting. Hundreds of people gathered in the main hall, the largest room on the ship. He looked at each of them, seeing curiosity, excitement, and a little fear. "We are explorers," he said, his voice calm. "And exploration means facing the unknown. The signals we've been monitoring may be natural or artificial. We don't know yet. But what we do know is this. We are prepared. We have the skill, the equipment, and the unity to face whatever lies ahead. Remember why you're here. Remember that humanity is counting on us." The crew straightened. Some smiled. Others breathed easier. Rourke had a way of turning fear into focus. That was why he was chosen. After the meeting, people returned to their stations with renewed energy. The ship moved forward with quiet confidence. But deep inside, Rourke couldn't shake the feeling that the signals weren't just noise. They were warnings or invitations. Days later, the horizon reached a point in space few humans had ever seen. The signals were now incredibly clear, echoing through the ship like a heartbeat. They were calm, steady, rhythmic. The crew became silent, listening without being told to. Everyone could sense it. Something was out there. Rourke stood in the center of the bridge. The lights were dim, the screens glowing softly. A deep stillness filled the room. It was as if the universe was holding its breath. And in that moment, Rourke realized one thing with absolute certainty. Humanity was not alone. Something ancient, something powerful, something intelligent was approaching. And soon, the horizon would be the first human ship to face it. But no one, not Rourke, not the crew, not the scientists on Earth could have predicted what would happen next, because the truth wasn't just waiting in the darkness. It was coming straight toward them. The tension inside the horizon began quietly, like a whisper no one wanted to acknowledge. At first it was just a shift in the way the crew spoke to each other. Their jokes became shorter, their smiles faded faster, and their eyes lingered a little longer on the flickering screens in front of them. Everyone tried to act normal, but deep down they felt the same thing. Something was coming closer. Something big. Commander Elias Rourke felt it too. It stayed with him wherever he went on the ship, following him like a shadow he could never step away from. It was not fear exactly. It was the heavy awareness that the unknown was no longer distant. The signals that had once been faint now beat through the ship like a slow, powerful drum. Even when the communication systems were switched off, some crew members swore they could still feel the vibrations in the walls. Rourke spent hours studying those signals. He watched the patterns, listened to the pulses, and compared them to every recorded cosmic phenomenon known to humanity. Nothing matched. It was like listening to a language that had no beginning, no end, and no human origin. The more he studied it, the more he felt certain that the signals were not random. They were organized, intentional, directed. The crew continued their normal duties, but nerves tightened with every passing hour. The horizon scanners began picking up new massive energy readings far beyond anything the solar system naturally produced. When the readings first appeared, Lieutenant Mara Lynn almost dropped her tablet. "These numbers, they're impossible," she whispered. Rourke walked over to her station, his steps controlled but heavy. "What kind of energy spike?" Mara swallowed and turned the holographic display so he could see. "Movement," she said. "Not just one object. Many, and they're fast." Rourke stared at the readings. They showed multiple signatures crossing the edge of the solar boundary, far too big to be asteroids, far too coordinated to be natural. The objects were lined up in a formation that looked like a perfect sequence, one that no random object in space could ever follow. Formations meant intelligence. Rourke's chest tightened, but he kept his face calm. Panic from him would spread like fire through dry grass. "Increase the scan range," he instructed, "and slow the ship. We need more data before we act." The crew worked quickly. Their fingers trembled slightly on the screens, but they tried to hide it. The ship slowed, engines humming more softly, almost as if the horizon itself sensed the danger ahead. More readings appeared. 5, 10, 15 objects, then 20, then 50, Mara gasped. "It's a fleet," she whispered. "Commander, it's a fleet of ships." Silence fell so thick it felt like the air had turned solid. No one spoke. No one moved. Some crew members stared at the numbers on their screens, hoping they were reading them wrong. Others rubbed their eyes, thinking fatigue was playing tricks on them. But the truth was undeniable. There was an organized, unmistakably artificial fleet entering human territory. Rourke straightened, the weight of the moment settling into his bones. He could feel every heartbeat echoing inside his chest. Humanity had dreamed of alien contact. Humanity had also feared it. And now, without warning, without preparation, the moment had arrived. "Are they heading toward us?" a young navigator asked, her voice barely more than a breath. Mara checked the trajectory again, her hands slightly shaking. "Yes," she said. "They're moving fast. Faster than anything we've ever seen." Rourke didn't hesitate. "Send a message to Earth Command. Full report. Classified channel." "Commander," the navigator whispered, "should we raise our shields?" Rourke paused. The question hung in the air like a weight. "Not yet," he finally said. "If they see us armed too quickly, they may assume we're preparing for a fight." But inside, he knew the truth. The shields wouldn't matter against something this massive. Human technology was advanced, but it wasn't built to face an entire alien armada. Hours passed. The fleet came closer with terrifying speed. It was like watching a storm sweep across a calm ocean. One moment everything was still. The next, the scanners were exploding with warnings and alerts. The objects, whatever they were unimaginably huge. Some were larger than Earth's moons. Others glowed with energy waves that defied human science. The crew gathered on the bridge. No one was on break anymore. No one wanted to be alone. They stood shoulder to shoulder, their eyes glued to the screens, showing thousands of lights blinking closer and closer. Mara zoomed in on one of the objects. The picture was blurry at first, just a faint outline. But as the ship recalculated and corrected the image, the shape became clear, a colossal structure with metallic plating, sharp edges, and enormous glowing thrusters. "That's a ship," whispered an engineer. "That's definitely a ship." More images came through, each one bigger, stranger, more advanced than the last. Some ships had rotating outer rings, some had wings hundreds of meters long, some flickered with blue energy like living creatures. The room felt colder, the air felt thinner. "What do they want?" someone asked. No one had an answer. Rourke finally broke the tension. "Open a communication channel." Standard greeting. "Broadcast it in every known language and frequency." The communication officer nodded and began transmitting. The message repeated over and over through every speaker the Horizon had. "This is the human vessel Horizon. We seek peaceful contact. We request communication." They waited. No reply. Not a sound. The fleet continued forward. A hollow fear settled in the pit of the crew's stomachs. Alien silence was worse than alien hostility. Silence meant unpredictability. Silence meant mystery. Silence meant danger. Rourke clenched his jaw. "Send another message. Repeat until we get a response. Increase the boost on the transmitter." Again the message echoed into the void. Again nothing. Then a new alert flashed on Mara's screen. Her eyes widened. "They're scanning us," she said. "All of them. At the same time. Are they locking weapons?" Rourke asked. "No," she said. "Not yet. They're analyzing every part of the ship." The idea of an entire alien fleet studying the Horizon sent shivers through every person in the room. The crew felt exposed, fragile like insects under a giant magnifying lens. Engineers checked weapons. Medics prepared emergency kits. Soldiers tightened their straps and checked their armor even though they knew it would offer no real protection. The ship's psychologist moved quietly among the crew, whispering encouragements. Still, the silence continued. Rourke watched the approaching lights, each one representing a ship beyond anything humanity could imagine. He felt a pressure in his chest, the responsibility of every life on board, the responsibility of the first moment of contact between species. Then, something unexpected happened. The fleet slowed. All of them. At the exact same moment, the scanners flickered in confusion. The crew leaned over their screens, blinking and rechecking the data. But the numbers didn't change. The alien armada, which had been speeding through space with impossible strength, suddenly came to a gentle, synchronized halt. Why did they stop? A voice asked. No one knew. The ships simply floated there, silent and motionless like giants, frozen in time. The tension twisted tighter. The crew waited. The air felt like it might snap from the pressure. Then another alert appeared. "Commander," Mara whispered. "They're repositioning." The alien ships began shifting, spreading out in a wide arc. It was not an attack formation. It looked more like a line. "What are they doing?" Rourke murmured. The ships formed a perfect row, facing the horizon like an audience staring at a performer on a stage. It was unnatural, too perfect, too deliberate. "They're not stopping us," Mara said. "They're observing us." Rourke felt the hairs on his arms rise. The crew stared at the massive line of alien ships. They glowed softly in the dark, forming a barrier so enormous it stretched farther than the horizon's sensors could reach. Every ship was silent, but the silence now felt different, not threatening, but expectant. It was as if the alien fleet was waiting for something, or someone. Rourke took a slow breath. "They're studying us," he said quietly. "They're trying to understand who we are, or what we are." The realization chilled the entire bridge. The fleet wasn't attacking, it wasn't running, it wasn't even responding, it was watching, and that was somehow more frightening than anything else. Everyone stood in stillness, as if any movement might provoke the giant shadows waiting outside. Hearts pounded, minds raced, but all they could do was wait for the moment when the unknown would finally reveal itself. Wait for the moment the rising challenge would turn into something far more dangerous. Because the fleet hadn't come by accident, it had come with purpose. And whatever that purpose was, the horizon was about to face it. The moment the alien fleet halted, a strange quiet fell over the horizon. It wasn't the normal silence of space, the peaceful kind that made people think about stars and distant planets. This silence felt heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Every person on the ship felt it settle into their chests, tightening something inside them that they didn't know how to loosen. Commander Elias Rourke stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the long, perfect line of alien ships spread across the darkness like a wall of light. None of them moved. None of them made a sound. They simply hovered, waiting, glowing with strange energies and shapes that no human had ever seen before. But silence didn't mean safety. It meant the moment just before something important, something life-changing happens. And Rourke knew that moment was approaching fast. The crew whispered among themselves. Some asked if they should prepare weapons. Others wondered if this was the beginning of a negotiation. Many simply stood frozen, unable to look away from the enormous structures outside. Every ship was different in design, yet moved as if part of one mind. Some were long and slender with bright blue trails behind them. Others were round with rotating bands of light. A few glowed red, their surfaces shifting like liquid metal. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Rourke called out softly, "Status report." Mara Lynn checked the screens. No weapon locks, no movement. They're simply watching, still scanning us, Commander. The sensors flickered again, showing waves of alien energy sweeping across the horizon. It was like the fleet was studying every piece of metal, every wire, every heartbeat inside the ship. Rourke felt the tension spreading. "Keep broadcasting messages. Continue with peaceful contact attempts." "Yes, Commander," the communication officer replied. The message repeated through every channel, every frequency. "This is the human vessel Horizon. We come in peace. We request communication." Still, the alien fleet said nothing. After nearly half an hour, a new alert flashed on the control panels. Mara's eyes widened as she read the data. "Commander, they're charging something." The crew tensed instantly. Soldiers stepped closer to defensive stations. Engineers checked power grids. Pilots gripped controls tighter. Rourke kept his voice steady. "Charging what?" "I'm not sure," Mara whispered. "It's not a weapon signature. It looks more like an energy buildup. Massive but controlled." "What does that mean?" "I don't know," she answered honestly. Seconds passed, then minutes. The alien ships glowed brighter, their surfaces shimmering with patterns that looked almost alive. One ship pulsed with deep golden light, sending ripples across its hull. Another released a thin beam of soft blue energy that didn't reach the horizon, but instead formed a swirling pattern in the empty space between. For them then something unexpected happened. Ship detached from the formation, slowly, gracefully, like a large creature stepping forward from a crowd. It moved toward the horizon, drifting closer with a calm confidence that felt deliberate. The closer it came, the more details became visible, a silver structure that seemed to shift shapes, its edges blooming into new forms every few seconds. It looked as if it was made of living light instead of metal. Voices trembled across the bridge. "They're coming toward us. Is this first contact? Are they preparing to attack?" Rourke raised a hand. His calmness spread through the room, grounding everyone even though his own heart was pounding in his chest. The giant alien ship stopped only a few kilometers away, closer than any alien object had ever been to a human vessel. A sudden vibration ran through the horizon. Lights flickered. Screens glittered. The crew grabbed their stations. "What was that?" someone cried out. Mara checked the systems. "It's coming from them. Some kind of energy wave. But it's not harmful. More like a signal." "A signal to us?" Rourke asked. "No, Commander," she replied. "A signal to the rest of the fleet." Before Rourke could respond, the alien ship released a flash of white light. Not an explosion. Not a weapon. A symbol. A giant holographic projection appeared in the darkness. The entire crew gasped as a glowing image formed above the alien ship, an emblem. A circle with lines branching out from its center. It was complex and ancient, looking like something carved into stone thousands of years ago. "What is that?" murmured the navigator. The symbol shimmered, rotating slowly in space, almost as if the fleet was showing something important. Rourke's brow tightened. "Run a comparison. Search the entire database." "We've never seen anything like this," Commander Mara said. "It's not in our archives." The symbol pulsed once more, then the unexpected happened. The alien fleet reacted. All ships shifted in unison. Their lights brightened. Their engines rotated. The entire formation began rearranging itself. forming a new pattern, one that mirrored the symbol hovering above the lead ship. "What are they doing?" whispered a young officer. "Communicating," Rourke said softly. "With each other. Maybe with us." Suddenly, the horizon shook again, harder this time. Sirens rang out. "What's happening?" someone shouted. Mara's eyes darted across the screen. "The aliens are scanning deeper, much deeper. They're searching for something specific inside our ship." Another energy wave swept through the hull. The lights dimmed. Rourke felt the vibration in his bones, like a low hum from a massive creature. The crew stood, frozen. And then the alien ship stopped. Scanning. Something changed. A new alarm blinked on the screen, one the horizon had never used before. "Commander," Mara whispered, her voice trembling. "They've detected something." Rourke walked up to her station. "Detected what?" She zoomed in on the reading. When she saw the result, her lips parted in shock. "It's the insignia," she said. "The symbol painted on our hull." Rourke blinked. "The old Earth emblem." "Yes," she said. "The first explorers used it. It's been on every major human ship as tradition. They scanned the entire ship to find that." "Yes," she whispered. "And they stopped the moment they found it." Before Rourke could respond, the alien fleet acted. Every ship powered down its weapons. Every engine dimmed. Every glowing hull softened. The fleet that once looked dangerous now seemed almost calm. The lead alien vessel released another projection. This time, the symbol changed its lines, shifting, rotating, converging. Slowly, impossibly, it transformed into something that made the entire crew gasp. The human insignia. Not identical. Older. Ancient. A version humans had never seen before. A version from a time no one knew existed. The bridge fell into stunned silence. How is that possible?" someone whispered. "Did humans meet them before?" "Commander," Mara said slowly, "it's like they're recognizing us, or something connected to us." Rourke felt a chill spread through his spine. "They think we belong to them, or to something we once were." The alien ship drifted even closer, its lights soft and slow. Then, for the first time since the fleet arrived, a sound echoed through the horizon. Not words. Not music. A single, deep tone. It vibrated in the walls, in the floors, in the hearts of everyone on board. It felt ancient, powerful, and emotional, as if it carried a memory older than human civilization. Some crew members covered their ears. Others froze in awe. "It's a greeting," Mara whispered. "A very old greeting," Rourke swallowed. "What makes you think that?" "Because I don't think they're seeing us as strangers." A final alert appeared on screens across the bridge. "Incoming transmission." The room froze. Rourke took a slow breath. "Open it." The speakers crackled with static. Lights flickered. Then a voice, not human, not mechanical, but something deep and echoing, filled the ship. The language was alien, but the tone wasn't hostile. It was something else. Something like recognition. The crew felt the meaning even if they couldn't understand the words. The aliens knew them. Not today, not recently, but from a time long forgotten. When the transmission ended, the fleet dimmed its lights, waiting for a response. The critical moment had arrived. The fate of humanity hung suspended in the silence between two civilizations. Rourke stood tall, his heart pounding as he stared into the dark at the alien fleet that had finally revealed itself. Whatever happened next would change everything. Humanity believed about its past, its future, and its place in the universe. The bridge of the horizon felt unnaturally still, as if every sound in the universe had paused to listen. The alien voice that had echoed through the ship left the crew frozen in place, struggling to make sense of what they had just heard. No one understood the words, but everyone felt the meaning behind them, an ancient familiarity, a recognition that reached deeper than logic or science. Commander Elias, Rourke breathed slowly, steadying himself. He could feel his crew's eyes on him. They trusted him to lead, even when the situation felt too big for any human to understand. He stepped toward the central console. "We need to respond," he said quietly, though his voice carried strength. Marilyn nodded, her face pale but focused. "But what do we say, Commander? We don't know their language." "We respond with what we do know," Rourke said. "Respect, peace, curiosity." He motioned to the communication officer. "Send out a universal greeting. Use our simplest patterns: repetition, harmony tones, non-threatening frequencies." The officer quickly adjusted the controls and began transmitting. A soft sequence of notes, rising and falling gently, filled the airwaves between the two vessels. It was a calm, steady signal meant to show peaceful intent. After a few seconds, the alien ship replied. This time, the sound that came back wasn't strange or unsettling. It was softer, smoother, almost like a voice lowering itself to be more gentle. The crew exchanged looks. The aliens were mimicking the rhythm of the horizon's signal. "They're trying to communicate," Mara whispered. "Not just talking at us, they're matching us." Rourke's heartbeat quickened. Good. Keep the channel open." The alien ship emitted a second sequence of tones, more deliberate than the first. It wasn't random. It had structure, meaning, the beginning of a language bridging to worlds. The bridge crew worked quickly, using linguistic software, mathematical analysis, and instinct. Bit by bit, The signals formed patterns, greetings, identifiers, questions. The alien ship was not asking for surrender or territory. It was asking something simple. Who are you? Rourke answered with the basics. We are humans. We are from Earth. We seek peace. He sent the message in every form they could manage: tones, symbols, pulses, and even a simple hologram of Earth. Asterisk. The reply from the alien ship came almost instantly again. The meaning wasn't understood, but the feeling behind it was clear. We know Earth. Asterisk. A wave of shock rippled through the entire bridge. Mara leaned forward, her voice breathless. How could they know Earth? Did they visit? Did they see us from far away? Did they learn about us through our signals? Rourke shook his head slowly. No, not recently. The tone of their message. It felt older, like they knew Earth before we even had signals to send. Before anyone could speak again, the alien ship projected another hologram into the darkness. A symbol appeared, bright, ancient, glowing with shifting patterns. Then another symbol formed beside it. Then another. Mara gasped. These are from the early Earth insignia. Look at the similarities. The shapes weren't identical to the human emblem, but they shared roots, curves, patterns, ideas, like two languages that evolved from the same ancient script. It was impossible, unbelievable, and yet, there it was, displayed across the dark canvas of space. The crew couldn't look away. The alien transmission changed again. This time, the symbol slowly unfolded, revealing a sign, a star map, a map showing a place far from Earth, a place humans had never explored, a place where the alien fleet had come from. And then the final image appeared, a circle connected to Earth by a straight glowing line. Mara's voice trembled. Commander, they're saying we're connected. Rourke stared at the hologram. Connected how? No one knew, but the alien ship offered another clue. It released a new pulse of energy, not an attack, but a soft wave that swept across the horizon. Instantly, one of the ship's storage compartments lit up on the display. What's in that section? Rourke asked. A technician checked. Old items, Commander, artifacts, things placed on the ship for historical value. Show me. A camera inside the compartment turned on. The crew leaned in. Inside the compartment sat a metal plaque. A small one, something almost forgotten. It was engraved with an ancient version of the Earth's exploration emblem, the version used on the earliest deep space capsules humanity had ever launched centuries ago. The alien ship flashed, its symbol again, the ancient one. Side by side, the connection became undeniable. The alien emissary ship was reacting to humanity's oldest emblem. They recognize it, Mara whispered. They recognize us. Rourke felt the truth settling into his mind like a heavy stone. This encounter wasn't a first contact, it was a reunion. He looked out at the fleet, at the thousands of alien ships glowing in the dark. They hadn't come to attack. They had come because they sensed a symbol. They remembered a symbol from a time lost to human history. Rourke's voice was soft, but it carried weight. They think we are descendants of someone they once knew. The crew stared at him, stunned. Then the alien ship began transmitting once more. This time the message was clearer, not in words, but an intent and emotional wave that washed over the horizon. Welcome back. Rourke's breath caught in his throat. Back? What does that mean? He murmured. It was impossible to know. Had humans once traveled farther than they remembered? Had ancient civilizations risen and fallen before recorded history? Or had the aliens once visited Earth long ago? Before the crew could debate, the fleet moved again. Slowly, gently, they parted, opening a path through the middle of their formation. The glowing corridor stretched deep into space, like a glowing invitation. What are they doing? Mara asked, her voice hushed. Rourke understood immediately. They're offering us passage, he said. A safe route, a gesture of trust. The crew stared at the open path lit by thousands of alien lights. Rourke's instinct was clear. There was no threat, no hostility, only welcome and the promise of knowledge humanity had never dreamed of. But he knew he couldn't act without thinking. One wrong move could shatter the fragile connection they had built. He activated the communication channel and sent a slow or respectful sequence of tones. It was a message meant to say, "We accept your peace. We honor your gesture." The alien ship responded instantly with a gentle pulse of light. The path remained open. Rourke gave the order. Helm, move us forward. Slowly, respectfully, the horizon drifted through the glowing corridor between the alien ships. The fleet didn't move aggressively. Instead, each ship dimmed its lights in a gentle gesture, almost like a bow. The crew watched in wonder. Some had tears in their eyes. Others were speechless. The feeling of danger had vanished, replaced by something entirely different, something ancient, mysterious, and strangely comforting. It felt like humanity was being escorted by old guardians who had been waiting a very long time. When the horizon reached the center of the formation, the lead alien vessel emitted one final, clear transmission. This time, the tone was unmistakably emotional, filled with relief. You survived. Rourke closed his eyes, overwhelmed by the strange warmth behind the message. When he opened them again, the path ahead glowed brighter. The alien fleet was not humanity's enemy. They were protectors, allies, and the war that everyone feared had already been avoided, not by weapons, not by threats, but by an ancient symbol painted on a human ship, a memory that reached across time and space. The resolution had come in the simplest and most surprising way imaginable: recognition, reunion, and the beginning of a new bond between species that had once known each other long, long ago. The horizon sailed forward. The future had changed forever. The horizon's return to Earth was unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. The ship glided through the atmosphere slowly, almost ceremonially, as if carrying the weight of an entire new era on its hull. Crowds gathered across every major city, staring up at the sky as the vessel that had faced down an alien fleet descended peacefully toward home. They had expected a battle. They had feared loss, destruction, and a future filled with uncertainty. Instead, the horizon came back not as a survivor of war, but as a symbol of something far greater: diplomatic success no one had believed possible. As the ship landed, the world erupted in celebration. Communication channels overflowed with astonishment and hope. News anchors struggled to find the right words. Military leaders who had spent sleepless nights preparing for the worst now stood in stunned silence, realizing the future had turned in a direction no strategy had predicted. People stared at their screens, whispering to one another about the miracle that had occurred in the depths of space. But while the world celebrated, the scientists and researchers were already moving. The moment the hatch of the horizon opened, a wave of urgency pulsed through Earth's research centers and universities. Something had been revealed out there, something that changed everything humans thought they knew about their own history. Teams of historians, linguists, astronomers, archaeologists, and physicists rushed to gather every scrap of information. The horizon had brought home ... There were recordings of alien signals, scans of ancient symbols, visual captures of the alien fleet, and the mysterious energy pulse that had awakened the forgotten relic inside the ship. Researchers studied every frame, every sound, every pattern. The most shocking discovery was the connection between the alien's ancient symbol and the old Earth emblem found in the ship's storage, an emblem that had survived centuries simply because no one had bothered to remove it. The small metal plaque became the center of the world's attention. It had once been a ceremonial item placed aboard the ship as a nod to early humans who dreamed of exploring the stars. No one had expected it to matter. No one had believed it held significance beyond nostalgia. But now, scientists looked at it with awe, as if it were a sacred artifact. It represented a bridge, one linking modern humanity with a past much older than recorded history. The symbol on the plaque did not match perfectly with the alien emblem, but the roots were the same. It was as if both civilizations had once known the same ancient script, the same ideas. How could that be? Had humans once traveled beyond their own star system long before their known timeline began? Had a civilization existed on Earth that reached the stars, only to be forgotten by time, disaster, or something far stranger? Or had the aliens visited Earth long ago, leaving traces of their influence that humans unknowingly copied or inherited? These questions were asked everywhere, in laboratories, classrooms, dinner tables, and government offices. Suddenly, humanity's past felt too small, too neat. The universe had opened a doorway into a forgotten chapter, and curiosity surged through the world like electricity. Through all the excitement, Commander Elias Rourke watched quietly. He had become a global figure overnight, a hero, a symbol of calm leadership in the face of the unknown. Reporters wanted interviews, leaders wanted meetings, scientists wanted his insight. But Rourke kept returning to one simple thought that echoed in his mind: a tiny relic had saved them all. He remembered the moment on the horizon when the alien emissary ship recognized the emblem stored deep in the ship's compartments. It had not been a weapon, nor a negotiation tactic, nor a diplomatic message. It had been an accident, a piece of history almost forgotten. And yet, that small symbol had awakened recognition in a species humanity had never met before. It had prevented war. It had opened peace. It had changed destiny. Rourke often sat alone, holding the small metal plaque in his hands, running his fingers over its faint, worn markings. It amazed him how something so ordinary, so overlooked, had carried the memory of a connection older than human civilizations. He wondered how many other truths lay hidden around them, unnoticed, waiting to be rediscovered. He thought about how close humanity had come to disaster. If that relic had been removed or lost, the alien fleet might have responded very differently. They might have seen humanity as a threat, or as strangers, or as something lesser. But instead, they had seen a familiar sign, one that told them humanity belonged. The world around Rourke changed rapidly. Diplomats began planning humanity's first peaceful interstellar exchanges. Scientists prepared questions that stretched beyond imagination. Who had humans been before they forgot? What happened between the ancient past and the present? Why did the aliens think humanity had returned? And what role did Earth play in the wider cosmic community the aliens spoke of without words? Everywhere Rourke went, he saw hope lighting people's eyes. The fear of otherworldly beings had transformed into a desire to understand them. Instead of preparing for war, humanity prepared for alliance, for knowledge, for exploration far beyond the limits they had once accepted. The alien fleet remained in distant orbit, not as conquerors, not as observers, but as guardians waiting patiently for humanity to take its next step. Slowly, the idea settled into human society. Earth was no longer alone. It had never truly been alone. The universe was alive with civilizations older and wiser, carrying memories longer than human history. And somehow, humanity was part of that story. One evening, Rourke stood on a balcony overlooking the ocean, listening to the waves crash gently against the shore. The sky above him shimmered with stars. For the first time, the stars did not feel distant. They felt like neighbors, friends, places he could reach. He closed his eyes and let the memories wash over him, the alien ships forming a corridor of light. The gentle tone of recognition, the message that had touched him so deeply. "You survived." The aliens had said those words with emotion, as though they had been waiting, hoping humans would endure through whatever trials had erased their ancient past. Rourke opened his eyes again. The Earth felt different now. Bigger, smaller, more mysterious, more important. The questions swirling in his mind no longer frightened him. Instead, they filled him with a sense of wonder. The universe was not a cold or empty void. It was connected, woven together through history, through memory, through symbols that traveled across time and space. And humanity, despite all its struggles and uncertainties, was part of that grand connection. Rourke realized the truth in a slow, powerful wave. The universe was older than anyone had imagined. Strange in ways humans were only beginning to understand, and deeply tied to humanity's forgotten past. The encounter aboard the Horizon was not just a peaceful meeting, it was a reminder, a message, a call to rediscover who humans truly were and who they could become. The alien fleet had not only spared Earth, they had welcomed it back. The future no longer felt like an unknown danger. It felt like an open door, a new beginning, an invitation to rejoin a cosmic community that had been waiting patiently across the stars. As Rourke watched the night sky, he felt something he had not felt in years, a sense of destiny. The realization that humanity was stepping into a story far greater than itself, a story written long before its memory began. The journey was only beginning, and this time, humanity would walk into the universe, not as strangers, but as returning members of a vast, ancient family.